Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about a very specific and, honestly, a really misunderstood kind of loneliness. It's one that the great psychologist Carl Jung saw not as a problem, but as a powerful sign that you're on the right track. Just let that sink in for a moment. We always think of loneliness as this terrible thing that happens when we lose something, a job, a relationship, our way. But what about a loneliness that shows up when you're finally starting to figure things out? It's a much stranger, more confusing feeling, and that's exactly what we're diving into. So what is this feeling, really? Well, it's that sense of being in between worlds. You've outgrown the person you used to be, but you haven't fully landed in who you're becoming yet. And the weirdest part? The world around you might not have changed at all. Your friends are still your friends. The shift isn't out there, it's inside you. And this difference is absolutely key. Ordinary loneliness feels like a hole, right? An absence. Something is missing, and you feel this urge to fill it from the outside. But this growth loneliness, it's totally different. It's a byproduct of your own evolution. It doesn't feel like something's gone. It feels like something deep inside is shifting. And this is the trap we all fall into. We feel this disconnect, and our immediate reaction is, oh no, what did I do wrong? Am I pushing people away? Did I break something? It's a completely natural assumption to make, but it might be completely wrong. This is the question that changes everything. Just for a second, what if that painful, isolating feeling isn't a red flag? What if it's actually a progress report, a sign that you're in the middle of a deep and vital transformation? To really get our heads around that, we have to turn to the work of Carl Jung. He gives us this incredible way to reframe this entire experience. Jung spent his entire life studying the human soul, and he was fascinated by this specific kind of disorienting loneliness. And the conclusion he came to was revolutionary. He saw it not as a failure or a breakdown, but as a necessary part of a much bigger and ultimately a really beautiful process. He called that process individuation. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's just the journey of becoming who you were always meant to be. It's about bringing all the pieces of yourself, the good, the bad, the hidden, together into one whole person. And by its very nature, that is a solo mission. Nobody else can do that work for you. So how do you know? How can you tell if the loneliness you're feeling is actually a part of this incredible process? Well, Jung pointed to a few key signs. Let's walk through 5 of them and see if they sound familiar. First up, the timing. This is a huge clue. This kind of loneliness doesn't just show up randomly. It almost always follows a major internal breakthrough, a moment where you suddenly understand yourself better, or your core values shift, or you decide to let go of an old identity. The loneliness comes after the growth. The second sign can be really uncomfortable. It's when conversations that you used to love just fall flat. Small talk feels draining. You might leave a party that should have been fun feeling strangely empty. And it's so important to get this. This isn't about you feeling superior. Not at all. It's about a change in your appetite. You're just hungry for more depth now. And that leads to this bizarre paradox. You'd think being in a crowd would help, right? But for someone going through this, that's often where the loneliness feels the worst. Why? Because the crowd just highlights the huge gap between your inner world and the social mask you have to wear. Solitude, on the other hand, can feel like a relief. It's nourishing because you can finally drop the performance. The fourth sign might be the most confusing of all. It's a strange new strain in old relationships. There was no big fight, no betrayal, but things just feel off. And it's baffling because no one's at fault. The strain is there because you've changed, and the container of that old relationship is now too small for the person you're becoming. It needs to stretch and find a new shape. And that brings us to the fifth and maybe the most important sign. Jung talked about something he called the creative function of solitude. He believed this aloneness wasn't just an empty space, it was a workshop. See, normal loneliness just hurts. It feels like a wound. But this kind of loneliness, while it's definitely not fun, it often has this quiet hum of purpose underneath it. It feels necessary. It feels like this quiet space is required for some really important inner construction project to happen. You can almost feel it. Something new is being built. Okay, so if any of this is ringing true for you, then the most important thing is to understand what it all means. It's time for that big reframe. Let me be crystal clear here. That feeling of being alone, of being disconnected, it is not proof that you are failing. It is not evidence that you've made a terrible mistake or taken a wrong turn. In fact, it's the complete opposite. From a Jungian perspective, this loneliness is the evidence. It's the signpost telling you that you're in the middle of a real, healthy, and crucial stage of your development. You are leveling up. Now, Jung was no fool. He knew this process is hard, but he was also very clear about the destination. The goal isn't to never be alone again. The goal is to build such a deep, authentic relationship with yourself that being alone stops feeling like a wound and starts feeling like home, a source of strength. So if there's one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. If you're feeling this strange, deep loneliness, it doesn't mean you're lost. It means you are in the sacred, and yes, often solitary, process of becoming. Always remember that. The biggest changes, the most important transformations, they always start in that quiet inner space. It's not the end of connection. It's the beginning of a true one, starting with yourself. And from there, every other connection becomes possible.